water being on fire or aquifers being affected. We need to develop our gas resources and our oil resources. But this I can tell you, if you don't want oil from Canada, if you don't want gas in America, vote for Barack Obama. If you want them, vote for me. Just shout it out. I'll be able to repeat it. Thank you.
Specific things when you get in office that you will do, that you will be actually able to do to make some changes.
Yeah, I can tell you some of them right off the bat. Things I will do on day one. Small things, big things. Number one, I will grant a waiver from Obamacare to all 50 states. All right, Number two, I will designate China as a currency manipulator, and on that basis, I will be able to apply tariffs on Chinese goods where I believe their practices, unfair practices, and kill American jobs. Number three, where we already have lands which are approved for drilling for oil and gas, I will finally give leases to the people that can drill and get that oil and gas out of the ground. I will also put a hold on all the Obama-era regulations that are coming forward. I'll stop them, and then we'll review them, and we'll get rid of those that kill American jobs. That's a start. There's four. Let's see. Right here. There's a gentleman right in the front row. Hi, sir.
Where's your teleprompter?
Where's my teleprompter? Thank you. Right behind. Another gentleman. Yes, sir. You are not my teleprompter, but I appreciate you being here. Yes, sir.
Governor Romney, we're very proud of our Attorney General here in the state of Maine. And it's unfortunate.
There he is, right there. General, thank you.
Unfortunately, we go home and we turn on the TV and we see our Attorney General at the federal level. He's always just one excuse, trying to explain one thing after another. What kind of an Attorney General do you think we need to help you when you're in the presidency?
Well, one who will enforce the law, one who will enforce the Defense of Marriage Act, one who will stand for life, and frankly, one who would never get it into his head to prosecute a terrorist like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in the United States District Court. That makes absolutely no sense at all. One who would honestly and openly investigate an extraordinarily crazy program like Fast and Furious. I basically believe that this Attorney General has disqualified himself by one decision after another. I wish he would step down or be removed, and he would not be anywhere near my cabinet if I were president. I'm told here I've kept you too long. This is way too much fun, though. I could go on all night. You guys are great. This is a fabulous. He's saying one more. This sounds like an auction. Go ahead, sir. Yes, sir. Want a microphone? Okay.
Governor, I lived down in New York, and I was a teacher down in New York, Maine. And I was a teacher down in Massachusetts for the last 10 years. Prior to that, I spent 30 years in the manufacturing arena. But when I was a teacher, I was a technology director, and I wrote a couple of grants for my school where I got $400,000 from No Child Left Behind and brought us into the next era as far as computing is concerned. And then I read in the news this week that our president has given waivers to states that they don't have to apply to No Child Left Behind, and I feel it was a good program, and I'd like your comments on No Child Left Behind.
Thank you. Let me tell you, there are parts of No Child Left Behind that worked well and that I support. There's some things I'd like to see changed in the new authorizing legislation. You worked as a teacher in Massachusetts. This was before my time in some respects, but a court in Massachusetts said that the lower income districts weren't getting the same quality of education as the higher income districts, and the state had to do something about it. And so a Republican governor, Bill Weld, got together with Democratic leaders in the House and Senate and came up with an interesting plan. One, we would test our kids to see how well they were doing. And two, to graduate from high school, as you recall, you had to pass an exam in English and math. And by virtue of that, by the way, by testing our kids, we could see which schools were succeeding and failing. And if a school failed, as I recall, for as many as 4 years, the state could take it over. And if there's some provision in the union contract which was interfering with the education of a child, we could tear up that part of the contract. And so we were able to help drive our schools. By the way, they went to now #1 in the nation. Massachusetts schools are the highest performing in the country. Our kids are, and where they're tested every 2 years under the federal NAEP program. And so No Child Left Behind looked at the experience states like we had in testing our kids and said, and President Bush said, I know the teachers' unions don't like testing kids, but I do. And so he said, I want every state to test their kids. That I agreed with. I thought that was a good idea, an important thing. But then there were some peculiarities in how they did it. They said a school will be deemed not making adequate yearly progress if any cohort of students is falling behind, is not progressing. And so you had a lot of terrific schools that may have been deemed inadequate or failing because a group of 5 or 10 students weren't able to keep up. And so I would like to see some adjustments to the program to make it, in my opinion, more reflective of how well an overall school is doing. But I do believe in testing. And I believe that President Bush was right to stand up and say, look, we're going to have the federal government stand up against the federal teachers' unions that have way too much influence. By the way, the teachers' unions have more money and more people than do either party, Republican or Democrat party. They're huge political power players in this country, and we're going to have to stand up and recognize that, I love teachers, but I'm not wild about the bosses that are trying to run their unions and making money off of teachers' dues. And I want to make sure that we put our kids first, we put schools back to localities, have them run by parents and by teachers, and let the kids be first and foremost. So I'm one of those, based on my experience in Massachusetts, I think I understand what I would do to help get a state more successful in teaching its kids. I'll just mention a couple other things that I got the chance to do. As governor, I added one more test to graduate. Now you have to also pass a test, not just in English and math, but also in science, because I want our kids to be more proficient in sciences. And then in addition to saying that if you don't pass the graduation exam, you can't graduate, I created not just the stick, but a carrot. And it said, and I got the legislature to go along with this, I put in place the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, which says that if you take the test, as you must to graduate, and you are among the 1/4 highest performance in your school who take that test, then we, the state of Massachusetts, will give you the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, which is 4 years tuition free to the University of Massachusetts or any of other state colleges or community colleges. That helps with college. And so we want to reward better performance and encourage our kids to study and do well. And I believe that the course of encouraging people to do well in school by putting our kids first and the unions behind is the best way to get kids ready for K through 12 and to get them ready for college. Look, this is a capitalist society we live in, but that's not just financial capital. It's human capital. It's human capital. We need to be investing in our kids and our education, and as important as what they learn are the values they're taught in home and at school and at church and in the community. And we need to teach them the extraordinary values of American exceptionalism, the idea that freedom and that prosperity comes from individual initiative and hard work. That they need to hear. You guys, you are the best. I thank you. God bless you.